Hi, I'm Sarah Jefford. I'm a surrogacy and donor conception lawyer, and I'm also an IVF mum, an egg donor, and a surrogate myself. The Australian Law Reform Commission is reviewing Australia's surrogacy laws, and one of the biggest questions for the Commission and for the community is whether surrogates should be paid. In Australia, surrogacy is only allowed on an altruistic basis. That means a surrogate can have her expenses covered, but she cannot be paid for the work of pregnancy and birth. And for a long time, I agreed with that approach. When I became a surrogate, I wasn't motivated by money. I did it because I enjoyed pregnancy and I wanted to help create a family for people who couldn't carry a child themselves. But over time, and through my work with intended parents and surrogates, and seeing the large number of intended parents heading overseas for surrogacy, my views have changed. I now believe that surrogates in Australia should be compensated. Not because babies should be bought or sold, absolutely not, but because pregnancy, birth, and surrogacy involve real work, real time, and real risk. We know that in surrogacy, fertility specialists, IVF clinics, lawyers, counsellors, obstetricians, midwives, and hospitals are all paid. The fertility industry in Australia is worth hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Yet the one person doing the most labour and taking the most physical risk is the surrogate. And for some reason, she is expected to do it all for free. Pregnancy is not a small thing. It takes hundreds of hours of appointments, medical procedures, and physical and emotional energy. It changes a woman's body, her family life, her work, and her health. Pregnancy and birth also carry real medical risks. In Australia, maternal mortality is around 8 deaths per 100,000 births, which is 4 times higher than the fatality rate in the mining industry. And yet miners are paid for the risks that they take, often with hazard pay. Pregnant people, including surrogates, are not. Compensating surrogates doesn't mean that altruism disappears. In fact, we know from research from other countries where compensated surrogacy is legal, surrogates are still overwhelmingly motivated by empathy and a desire to help others. Surrogates who are paid often say that money alone does not make up for the emotional and physical commitment, and that if they were only in it for the money, it wouldn't be worth it. Compensating surrogates simply recognises the work involved. Another reason this conversation matters in Australia is because our current laws are not working. There are less than 150 surrogacy births in Australia each year, while more than 350 babies are born overseas for Australian intended parents. 75% of babies born via surrogacy are born overseas. That means many Australians are travelling to other countries to pursue surrogacy. Sometimes those countries have strong regulation and protections, but oftentimes they don't. And when Australians go overseas for surrogacy, there are risks for the intended parents, for the babies, and for the women acting as surrogates. If we want to reduce the risks globally, we should make surrogacy more accessible within Australia, where we can regulate it properly. And introducing compensation for surrogates could help do that. But it must be done carefully. Compensation should be regulated, not left to a free market. Many people are concerned that introducing payments risks the surrogate's autonomy and rights. But no different from altruistic surrogacy, there must be safeguards in place to protect the surrogate from exploitation. Money does not make surrogacy exploitative. It is poor regulation and lack of safeguards. Surrogates should have access to independent legal advice and counselling, and payments should recognise the work of pregnancy, not be tied to handing over a baby. Most importantly, women should have the autonomy to make informed decisions about their bodies. Some surrogates may still choose to do it altruistically, and that's perfectly fine. But the fact that some people don't want to be paid shouldn't mean that no surrogate can be compensated. Surrogacy is an extraordinary act of generosity, but it is also time, effort, and risk. And recognising that work fairly, ethically, and within a regulated system could help create more surrogacy opportunities in Australia, reduce the need for international arrangements, and better protect everyone involved. That's surrogates, intended parents, and most importantly, the children who are born through these arrangements.